initially I showed you the table I'd created to log on the data from each individual run. So let's dive in and have a look at that table now that I've filled it in and kind of pick apart all the data that we took. So you'll see there, like I said, it's all filled in now, all of those runs. So looking straight down at the bottom, you can kind of see total distance over 52 miles. So it's, pretty much bang on a double marathon distance. A double marathon would be 52.4. If I knew that at the time, I would have done an extra 0.4 miles, but it's pretty damn close. Total duration running time was 6 hours, 36 minutes and 44 seconds. Average pace was way quicker than I thought it was going to be. I managed to hold a 7:34 minute mile average, which I'm absolutely over the moon with. I went in thinking 8-minute mile was going to be more realistic, and I was going to slow off towards the end, which didn't really happen. Average heart rate was 151.5, which, the aim was to keep each run below 160, and just, I knew at that level that was a comfortable level, and I wasn't pushing myself too hard to the point where I couldn't recover for the next run. 723 meters of total elevation, and over 6,500 calories burnt through those runs. Looking at the times and stuff like that, the fifth run was by far the fastest on that second day, 10 o'clock in the morning. That's the one I did with Ash Cockram, who's a phenomenal runner, and we just kind of got going. And even then, it wasn't a huge push. You can see average heart rate was 160 on that run, but we chatted the whole way around. It wasn't anything ridiculous. It wasn't anything where we were racing or anything like that. It was kind of just a fast, comfortable run. So over the moon to hold a 7-minute mile for that 4-mile run. And I think on that one I ended up running fastest mile as well, which was a 6:45. Slowest run was actually the Thursday night run. I think it's 10 o'clock. And it was that point, that afternoon, I'd started to get a little bit tired, and I thought, right, let's slow things down. So the 6 and 10 o'clock, I kind of just eased back a little bit and purposely went slower just to try and make sure I didn't burn out for the next day. And then, the 2 o'clock run was okay. The 6 o'clock run on that second morning was actually the worst. I felt awful on that run. It just felt like I couldn't find a comfortable pace, or I couldn't go any quicker than what it was. I thought it was a massive effort. So I actually thought heart rate on that one was going to be quite high. But if you look at it, it actually wasn't. So at 6 o'clock there, average heart rate was 146, which was way below the average heart rate. So quite a strange one, really. I don't know if I was just not really with it on that run. But that was, for me, the hardest of all the 13. That's 6 o'clock on the Friday morning, which was annoying because I ran that one with my sister. She came along on the bike, and we're having a good laugh and stuff like that. Well, a little bit, but to be honest, I felt like on that one I was kind of labouring that much that I couldn't hold a conversation. So strange one, really. But like I said, just took each individual run as its own thing. Some of them went well. That was the only one that I felt didn't go very well. So after that, the 10 o'clock in the morning run, I decided to go for a hillier course, the one I'd done, the first run I did, number 1. I repeated that and just thought, right, I'm going to kind of punish myself a little bit here, do the hard hilly course. It's a long climb, and just really try and dig deep and see what I can get. And managed to pull average pace right back, current pace, back down to a 7:27 minute mile for that run. So that kind of gave me a lot of confidence going into the last couple, knowing that I was obviously still fresh enough to pull out a time like that on a hilly course. And then it was just a case of getting through the last 2, which I managed pretty fine with. You can see that the 2 o'clock one was another relatively quick one, a 7:22 minute mile pace. And then the last one, again, a 7:32. Probably could have pushed that last one a little bit more, but didn't really see the point in killing myself on the final run. Just wanted to kind of get through and finish it. The last thing I want to do is try and run it too fast and end up tripping or something like that. The second to last run, actually, the 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I almost got hit by a car. I was running along like through an estate, and I knew there was probably 20 meters ahead. There was a little mini roundabout, and I actually had to turn right. I was on the left hand side of the road, and I was kind of focusing on that mini roundabout. There's a few cars coming from where I wanted to be, and I was kind of looking over there. Didn't even notice that there was a little junction on my side of the road, and there was a car in it, and I ran out, and the car was pulling out. Thankfully, I got my hand literally on the bonnet and kind of jumped to the side and, apologized to the guy. It was completely my fault. But I think by that point, just mentally fatigued and, clumsy, making stupid decisions and not really paying attention. So I was cautious going into that final run, that mentally I was exhausted and that didn't want to do anything stupid. And, I also found as well on some of the runs that, like feet would clip the floor as I was taking that forward step, and just thought, it's not worth falling over and, injuring myself. But yeah, like overall, I'm glad I did that table. I can look at it and be very happy with each of those runs individually. Hey guys, so I've got asked loads of questions following the 4448 challenge I did. So I thought I'd put together a quick video of some of the questions I got asked and obviously my answers to them. I don't really know. It was probably either the 2 AMs were weird, really. Once I got up and got going, I was all right. I think I found the harder one, the 6 a.m. on the second day. That was probably, I think, just because I didn't sleep that great the first night, and I don't really know why. I was just absolutely wiped. That was by far my worst run in terms of feeling. It wasn't the worst time. It just, I felt awful. And like looking at the data, like my heart rate wasn't even that high. I just felt like I had absolutely nothing to give at 6 o'clock on that second morning. But yeah, I don't think the 2 a.m. was that bad. I literally set an alarm for 10 minutes before, got up, put some clothes on, and just went straight out and just started running. In fact, the first night, the 2 a.m. run, I set one of my quickest times. I think so. I actually really do think I do have something wrong with me. I like to find different ways to push myself, whether that's physical, whether that's mentally, which I knew this challenge would be a mental challenge. And yeah, I just thought, why not? I kind of want to see, I always want to push myself and test myself and see in an extreme situation how I will cope and how I will manage. So yes, I probably am a little bit mad. Pretty bad, not as bad as it has been in the past. Um, but yeah, the last 4 or 5 runs probably did involve a scoop of Vaseline smeared in there to keep things lubed up. The sleep deprivation was strange, really. I think that was one thing I underestimated going into it. I thought that, if the run took what my target was, the 8-minute miles, which would have been 32 minutes for the run, I thought I could be in, get something to eat, get a shower, and into bed for a good 3 hours of kip. The way it worked out really was I was having to warm up and cool down on the bike just so to warm legs up and try and get rid of any lactic acid after the run. So that was kind of 5-10 minutes either side of the runs taken up. And then by the time you kind of switch off and wind down, even I was getting into bed after the 10 o'clock and the 2 o'clock ones, knowing that I might have had 3 hours as I got into bed, but couldn't fall asleep for ages. It took a long time to fall asleep, to the point where the first night I only got just over 4 hours sleep total. And then what I tried to do is just when I could, like between the day runs, I was just lying on the sofa watching a little bit of TV and just kind of doing very little. And I would try and drift off for 20 minutes, half an hour in between the day runs, which I think helped. And then going into that second night, I was probably a lot more fatigued than I was the first night. So maybe he's got a little bit more sleep on the night runs, But yeah, it's just one of those things. I think once you get running, even after the 2 o'clock runs, 2 a.m. runs, you just, as soon as your feet hit the ground, you're awake. Or as I found in one of them, I think I was just sleep running. I don't know. I kind of went into it after hearing a lot of horror stories. The challenge is a Dave Goggins challenge, but it was kind of made famous by the American entrepreneur, Jesse Itzer, and he did it and said it was one of the hardest things he's done, and it's taken off from there really. I I don't know. I went into it thinking it was going to be okay. I didn't think 4 miles was going to be a tremendously long distance. I didn't think that the sleep in between would be a huge issue. And to be honest, I didn't find the challenge as hard as I thought it would be. I always thought I'd do it. I went into it not very fresh. I had a few niggles and joints and stuff like that. I wore trainers that were probably half a size too small. I was blistered after the third run, and times were way quicker than I thought they were going to be. Yeah, it was like my legs were sore, but once you get out and start running, like you kind of forget about the pain, or you just warm up and you can just zone out, or at least I was able to. So, in all honesty, I don't think it was as bad as I thought it was going to be. Um, and yeah, it was kind of okay. I feel bad saying that, but it was. It wasn't that hard. There's a few things. Definitely, number one, make sure your shoes fit and they are comfortable. Number two, try your best to kind of plan ahead, whether that's meals, have some food prep that you can just quickly chuck in the microwave. After most runs, I would have a small meal, and then probably about half an hour after that, on the day runs to an hour after that, I would have like a handful of sweets, some jelly sweets, some fizzy sweets, something like that. And I drank quite a lot. Well, I drank a lot of water, and I drank quite a lot of Lucozade Energy just to try and replenish the electrolytes lost through sweating. So, preparation. And I think another point would be to make sure you warm up and cool down well. For me, my blisters, I got them pretty much straight away. They absolutely wrecked more when I would walk. So some of the runs I would stop at the end of my street to try and walk to cool down. That was kind of would be the 4 miles, and I would plan it that way so I could walk and just cool off a little bit before coming in the house. And the walk was more painful. Like that 100 meter walk was more painful than the 4 mile run for my feet. So after a while, I would run pretty much to my front door, get in and jump on the bike. So if you've got access to any kind of bike, I had a Concept 2 bike erg, but a spin bike, anything like that, warm up and cool down on that. That was a massive thing for me. Like I said, the second day, legs were really heavy and so sore. The warm-ups I would do and were getting longer and longer on the bike, to the point where before the runs I was doing 10-12 minutes on the bike just to kind of get some blood through the legs and loosen them off a bit, and likewise after each run. Jen. It was Jen's idea. But no, it's a Jen. Jen's idea. I I'd never even heard of the challenge. It was Jen who said, "Oh, why don't you try this?" I've been doing got quite into a cycling app called Zwift, and I was doing a bit of racing and stuff on there. And Jen was like, "Oh, have you heard of this challenge? Why don't you give it a try?" Had a little look, and I thought, "Yeah, I'll give it a try. It sounds tough. Everyone who's done it says it's horrendous." So that kind of pulled us in, and yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I feel bad saying it. I didn't find the challenge insanely hard. The the hardest bits were just moving around the house in between the runs, like when legs were tight. But once I kind of warmed legs up for the run and got running, I felt fine. I wouldn't like to say I had a lot more runs in us, but I also definitely could have done a few more if needed. I actually added one more on. It was only supposed to be 12 4-mile runs, but I did make a mistake initially in thinking you had to do 48 hours of running, so I added on a 13th one. But that worked well because it took it up to a double marathon distance in the 2 days. So I'm kind of glad I did the extra one, and can say I ran 2 marathons worth of distance in 2 days. Now, I set off with the goal of hitting an 8-minute mile average, and I didn't kind of go, well, not one run was over an 8-minute mile. So I'm chuffed to bits that I managed to almost hold 30 seconds under that pace. Didn't think I would. The aim was, like I said, to just stick it in 8. I told anyone who wanted to come with us that that's what I was going to run at. I was going to run no faster. I was going to run no slower. But the way I kind of thought about it was just to take each run as it is. And, if I felt good, I would kind of just go at a pace that felt comfortable. None of the runs felt hard. I was kind of wearing the Garmin and the heart rate monitor. And I just made sure that heart rate was at a level that I knew was not too bad for me. Nothing was ever going above 160 average, which, was just comfortable. And I knew that if I ran the run a minute or so faster than what I anticipated, that wasn't going to kill me. And, 3.5 hours off, I was going to recover. It's not like I was just getting 5-10 minutes rest and then having to go again. 3.5 hours was enough time to recover and go out and run it again. I did very, very little in between the runs. I would come in, cool down, eat, get a shower, sit on the sofa, barely move. That was intentional. Obviously, going into it, I kept saying, my right side, knee, hip, ankle, foot was really sore. That turns out it was my old running shoes. So after the first run, I wore them and I was like, oh, this isn't good. I'm not in a good place here. I switched to the new shoes, which turned out to be too small and give us blisters. But from there, that eliminated the cushion on the shoes was so good, it eliminated all of that joint pain. But like I said, it did give us blisters, but I could kind of manage them. So yeah, blisters on both heels and a lot of the toes. A lot of chafing, whether that was my butt crack. I had quite bad chafing under the armpits, just of sweating and arms moving forward and back. Actually, the probably legs were really sore, muscular, no joint pain, like I said. Legs were, after the first day was stupidly heavy. Upper back was really tight and achy. In the first night run, I felt like I kind of pulled a muscle, just in, probably my traps, kind of middle of back, a little bit lower down. But it was kind of a bit achy throughout the whole thing. But for that first 2M run, for some reason, it was like very nippy. But it kind of wore off a little bit. And then I got a really bad rash from just sweating underneath my heart rate monitor right across my chest. But yeah, like nothing, no injuries, nothing real. No, I don't feel like I need to do it again. I've done it. It's one of those things. It's not something I'm going to do every year. It was a challenge, and it was something I did, and wanted to raise some money for, and did it for charity. And I'm sure I will think of something else to do coming up that is equally challenging and crazy, if not crazier. Finally, guys, I just want to conclude with a number of thank yous. Without the support of a lot of people, this challenge would have been very, very difficult. First of all, thank you so much to the people who came and ran or biked alongside me for the various runs. That was Craig Manning, that was Jen, that was Ash Cockram, that was Paul Willis, that was Ross Haggy, Mike Wallace, my sister Victoria, and Jonathan Steele. Thank you so much, guys, for coming alongside me. The support and the company and the motivation was massively appreciated, so thank you so much for that. Secondly, thank you so much to everyone who has donated. You can see so far that I've raised over £800, which is massive. I set out with a target of just raising a couple of £100, and to go 4 times greater than that is huge. So thank you so much to everyone who's donated so far. There will be a link in the description below if you do want to donate to the GoFundMe page. Hopefully that stays live for a little bit. If it doesn't, I'll put the links to the Geordie Bully Springboard Rescue website where you can donate directly through there. Thirdly, thank you to the people who were there at the end of the run. That's Jen, that's Hannah, that's Elijah, that's my mum and Johnny. Thank you. You know, it was nice to finish the run and have you guys there and have the beers on hand and have a little celebratory can in the street, socially distanced, of course, COVID. But, you know, that was so nice. So thank you so much, guys, for being there. Thirdly, thank you. I think I've said thirdly. This might be fourthly. I don't really know. Like I said, a lot of thank yous. Thank you to Annalise and Ryan for dropping off some blister support. You know, Ryan came and dropped us off in blister tape. Annalise came and dropped us off some great medical supplies that she paid for. So thank you so much to you guys for, you know, well, thank you from my heels to you guys for helping me out there. And finally, and most of all, big thank you to Jen for supporting me through this challenge and, you know, as one of my crazy ideas. Without you, it would have been, you know, over twice as difficult. Like I said, you know, between the runs, I was coming in and doing very little. Jen will argue I do very little anyway. But, you know, it was just nice to have that support and know that you kind of had my back. I promise I won't do anything like this for at least a month or two. But like I said, guys, huge amount of thank yous. Thank you to everyone who's got in touch as well and messaged. Apologies if I didn't get back to you, but those messages that I received during the challenge were massively appreciated as well. I will see you guys soon, maybe for another challenge, maybe it's just some updates and whatever I decide to get up to. But thank you very much for watching these, guys. I will see you next time.